My husband said in front of everyone that his parents think I'm a burden and that he agrees. I stayed silent, and at the Sunday table when his father suddenly stood up and asked a question, the truth wiped the smile off his face forever. My husband said in front of everyone that his parents think I'm a burden and that he agrees. I stayed silent, and at the Sunday table when his father suddenly stood up and asked a question, the truth wiped the smile off his face forever. It all began on a cold evening in Columbus, Ohio. January wind whistled through the window frames while I placed the groceries I'd brought from Target onto the kitchen counter. I kept thinking, maybe someday life will get easier. We lived paycheck to paycheck. Some weeks it was a spike in the gas bill, other weeks the kids' school supplies or the rising health insurance premium. But I kept going. Women always do, no matter the weight on their hearts or the pressure filling their minds. That night, everything at the dining table looked normal. My sister-in-law was laughing loudly, my mother-in-law was carrying in a tray of cranberry muffins, and Mark, my husband, wore that same easy, confident smile he reserved for when people were watching. Then suddenly he said the sentence that sucked all the air out of my lungs. "My parents think you're a burden," he said casually. And honestly, I kinda agree. The room froze. No silverware clinked. No breath moved. I just looked at him. He didn't look away. Maybe he expected me to break, to shout, to fall apart. But I didn't. I set my fork on the plate, took one slow breath, and remained silent. When a woman chooses silence, people think she's defeated. They don't understand. Silence can be the beginning of a storm. The next day life resumed as usual. Mark left for his job at the auto parts warehouse. I dropped the kids at school and headed to my part-time shift at Rose's Deli in Whitehall. I spent the morning serving pancakes, hash browns, and black coffee to people wrapped up in their own messy stories, unaware of how much they revealed with every sigh and every complaint. All day I chewed on Mark's words, and with every hour my heart hardened a little more. His lie wasn't small. It wasn't a slip of the tongue. It was everything he'd been carrying for years. He absorbed every criticism his parents made of me, nodded at their passive-aggressive comments, aligned himself with their judgments. Me. I'd been the one keeping our home together. Managing bills, clipping coupons, stretching groceries, protecting the kids from financial stress. To him all of that meant nothing. Thursday night, the cold in Columbus felt sharper than usual. The kids worked on their homework while I reviewed our monthly budget. Rent, utilities, school lunch money, the minimum payment on our credit card. Mark came over and said, "Look, you overreacted. They didn't mean it that way." I didn't even lift my eyes. "I didn't react at all, Mark." He had no answer. Sunday lunch was always at his parents' house, an old place in Bexley with a heavy wooden dining table. I didn't want to go, but I went anyway. Sometimes you have to walk straight into the places you'd rather avoid. Those are the rooms where truth finally boils over. The dining room was warm, filled with the smell of turkey roast. Everyone sat down. Mark wore that same smug, settled smile as if nothing had happened. His mother said, "We just want what's best for Mark," while his father nodded along. I still said nothing. Then it happened, the moment that shifted the entire story. His father, George, stood up abruptly. His eyes held the usual sternness, but that day there was something different. A decision maybe. Or a long-held truth finally surfacing. In a steady voice he asked, "Mark, when exactly did your wife become a burden? Was it when she covered your credit card debt? Or when she worked double shifts after your surgery? Or when she paid the last 3 months of rent alone?" The room turned to stone. Mark's smile collapsed instantly. Color drained from his face. He stammered, If that's not." George raised a hand to stop him. "No. Answer the question." My breath moved slowly in and out. For the first time I looked directly at his father. He carried years of silence in his eyes, like he had seen everything, said nothing, but today could not hold it anymore. Mark's mother lowered her head. His sister rolled her eyes and grabbed her phone, pretending this had nothing to do with her. But the truth was out now. And truth, once exposed, never goes back quietly. George turned to me and said softly, "We see what you do for this family. Don't let anyone tell you your worth." For the first time that day I felt a sting behind my eyes. Not weakness, relief. After lunch I said, "We should go." Mark said nothing. The silence in the car was heavy, like the air refused to move. Finally he muttered, "I didn't think he'd say that." I replied, "I didn't think you'd say what you said." When we got home, I folded laundry, put away the kids' things, and made a decision. Quiet but strong. I told Mark I would stay with my sister for a few weeks. I needed space. He stared at me, stunned. You're leaving? I looked straight at him. No, Mark. I'm not leaving. I'm pausing. For myself, for our kids, for the life I've built. You need to decide whether you want a place in it. And then I packed and left. In the weeks that followed, Mark had to shoulder all the responsibilities I normally carried. Bills, car maintenance, school calls, budgeting. For the first time, he understood who the burden really was. And the realization did not come cheap. By the end of the month, he came to see me, more tired, more humbled, and for the first time, honest. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much you carried. I looked at him. There was no movie-style forgiveness in me, no soft music swelling inside my chest. Life isn't a film. I simply said, you'll have to change. Not with words, with effort. 4 months passed. He began therapy. Fixed his spending habits. Set boundaries with his parents. Started showing up for the kids in ways he hadn't before. He did the work that ordinary people do when they realize relationships aren't maintained by pride. They're built by effort. Justice came, not the dramatic kind from movies, but the kind everyday people earn. The kind that looks like accountability, consistency, and change. I had been broken, but I hadn't scattered. And that was my victory. If this story resonated with you, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me bring more real, powerful stories to you every week. Thank you for watching, for your time, and for being part of this community. Your presence truly means a lot.